Welcome back to the Money Script Podcast. It's your host, Johanse Harrison, or, Johans. We talk about it every week. You guys know the name by now, or maybe it's your first time. So, yes, I have 3 different ways you can pronounce my name. It's Johanse, Johans. Just don't say Johans. Please don't say Johans. If you say Johans, I'm not going to answer, and I'm probably going to talk about you later. I am thrilled to have the amazing Albert Lawrence here with me today. He is a video director. He is a producer. He is a cultural icon. He is a host with the most. He is everything I want to be when I grow up. And now I'm on the other side of the table and he's being interviewed. So this is going to be so much fun. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Albert Lawrence to the Money Script Podcast. How you doing, my brother? How you doing?
Yo, that is such a ridiculous intro. Thank you so much for it. I was going to say that when I grow up, I want to be Johans, but now I know that Johans does not exist.
He does not. He does not. He does not. And he will haunt you in your dreams.
Yo, no, man. This is phenomenal. Thank you so much for having me on. And especially as we were just talking about right before we started recording, like your podcast, this is blowing up. Like your platform is serious and it feels good to be on something that not only do we know that people are actually listening to, but also that just has the spirit of you and your wife embedded into it, which is like truly shining a light on financial literacy, helping folks out, and just sharing some great stories. So I appreciate being here.
Oh man, thank you. And I'm glad that we could get enough notoriety that you would show up. I'm sure your agent was like, wait, let me see. Yeah, you could do it. Don't expect it to do anything for you, but go ahead and do it. If he's a friend of yours.
It was that new number peak that you guys did that really brought me on. It attracted me.
Man, good. Glad that worked out. All right, call off the robots.
Oh man, no, this is great. And dude, like I've been lucky enough now to start to get to know you this year through some incredible clients of yours, excellent friends of mine, Dupe and Christy, and through them, it's like, okay, well, if they're going to recommend somebody to talk with me about money, then like I better listen to them because they are some people who I truly look up to. And so for you to be that dude, and then for you to actually turn out to be like a human and not just a collection of facts and guilt-inducing discussions, it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Oh boy, you can tell he's early on in the relationship. The guilt hasn't showed up yet. No, I appreciate it. And thank you for being vulnerable and open and honest with me, because that's really what helps build the relationship. I'm here to help people make better financial decisions, to align their financial behaviors with their values and with their goals. And we're going to do that together. That's just what we're going to do. We're going to chip away at it $1 one day at a time. And it's going to be incredible. It's going to be incredible. But enough about me. Let's talk about you, because again, you are you're the jack of all trades, the everyman's everyman. I mean, how did you come to be? Besides, I know there was birth and you learned to walk and all those things. Part. I know the biological part, but how did you come to be? How are you becoming this social icon that has just sat down with everyone? I mean, you've interviewed Oprah. You've interviewed. Just the other day, I was watching you interview Wesley Snipes and not Martin Lawrence. Who else was in that movie? Eddie Murphy for Coming to America. And I mean, it's just how did this all come to be? Tell me. I'm curious. Man. Let me get my popcorn.
Get your popcorn with the morning coffee and tea. No, it's funny, because I'm learning as I'm going throughout all of this. But kind of like the shorter version, the briefer version, and then we can accelerate some is, so I grew up in Virginia. My family is still there. I'm an only child, and my dad is a preacher and my mom works in social services. And so as an only child, I knew that like I always still wanted to be able to connect with people, and especially, to connect with people my own age. And so because of that, places like school and church, like those were my main touch points for where I knew I would be able to kick it with folks my own age, outside of like my cousins and whatnot. And so because of that, I'm like over time in the moment, I didn't realize that this is what I was doing, but over time I'm realizing, oh, maybe this is why I did that. I would just try to find as many activities as possible that would keep me at school, man, like that would keep me at church. And so that ranged from things that I turned out to be good at and turned out to truly end up continuing to pursue. So that's things within like the theater arts, that's things within media, that's things within public speaking. I loved those. But then I also did some things that it's like, I had no business being there, but like, let's try it. So that's basically anything athletic, yo. So I was on the basketball team. I was on the football team. I did lacrosse for like a couple weeks. And then I realized I don't like this running thing. So then I pivoted on over to track and field where I threw shot put and discus. And I showed up. I showed up for all those things. And that's probably the most that you can say that I did for each of those things.
Guilty.
But in
Guilty.
addition to, right, I tried. I tried. But through all of that, I think one of the things that kept me going was I wanted to make sure that there wasn't some sort of skill, some sort of talent that I had that was like hidden beneath that I just was not giving a chance to grow. And so I can say with confidence, after giving all of those things a try, there is no hidden like basketball prowess within me that I feel like I missed out on because I tried it. But some of the things that did click though were like when I would do plays at church and when I would do theater things at school, when I would work at the school's television station. And I say the word work because then I ended up starting to get like my first paycheck at a really nice time in life as well too, which is right after elementary school and I went to middle school. I would go back to my old elementary school and I would, we have what was called like an aftercare program. So, you know, as school is over, kids are waiting to get picked up by their parents. So I became one of the after school counselors there, the aftercare counselors. And so that gave me a chance to start earning money, to start putting things into my bank account. And that was a very good feeling for me. I realized I like work. I love work. I love the idea of investing in something, investing time in something, and then being able to get a financial return on that. And so I worked from middle school up until still working now, you know, and so for me, that kind of hustle just continued to drive me throughout. And the fact that my parents also, they never really put a lot of pressure on me in terms of performing, in terms of like, oh, you got to get all A's in this, you got to do this. They just always pushed me to do my best. And so through that, when it came time for me to apply to college, I mean, my mom really wanted me to stay in state because again, only child, like she don't want to see her baby go away. But I really wanted to get out. I wanted to move because I saw New York and I was like, oh my gosh, New York, this is like a 4-hour drive away. Like this would be amazing to do New York. And so I figured that I wanted to go to some school that had strong performance at its core and that had space for me to be able to grow and to learn things. And I found that within some schools in Virginia. But I also really fell in love with one day I remember I went to the library and it was time for us to start picking different schools that we wanted to apply to in high school. And I was trying to take some shortcuts. And so like I flipped to the back of a book to see like what colleges have a good theater program. And I saw Yale University was one of the schools on there. And there was like Carnegie Mellon that was on there and NYU was on there. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, so I have to come up with a list of places to apply to. Like, let me put those 3 on. And then I remember seeing a movie called A Beautiful Mind. And I was like, oh, the campus, wherever this was shot, looks gorgeous. So I looked that up. Turns out that was Princeton. So I was like, okay, cool. Let me add Princeton to the list. And then I was looking at my list and I had some other Virginia schools on there, College of William and Mary. I was like, you know what? If I've got Yale and Princeton on here, let's just throw Harvard here on the mix.
Why not?
That's right. Look, I think that they had like the common application too. So I'm like, there's not going to be a whole lot of extra work that's going to go into me applying here as well. Let's get it on in. And so I applied to, I believe it was 6 schools. And with no idea of like, you know, the college application process is very new for me, very new for my family. And then as those acceptances started to come in, or excuse me, right before the acceptances, I figured if I'm going to apply to a thing, and I realize that now this is something else that is a recurring theme in my life. It's like, if I'm going to take the time to apply, then let's just go full out. Like, even if it's going to be considered a little extra, let's just take the time to do it right. Because it's not going to take that much more time to do it right versus just doing it, period. So when I put my application together, I remember I put headshots in along with my essays. I put some headshots in there, and I don't even remember where the idea came from. But I'm like, well, if I want them to see me as somebody that can like perform and stuff, like this is what performers do, right?
That's what they do.
You submit these for auditions. So I put them on in there, and I mainly just had my high school theater credits, like being the Wizard and Wizard of Oz, like, understudy for the Tin Man, things like that in there. But so one day I remember getting back home from school, and there was a package at my door, and I walked on up and I saw that the package was from Yale, and it was like thick, but this is before acceptances were supposed to be happening. This was probably like around January or so, and I remember seeing the package, and I thought, man, Yohance, I think that Yale saw my application, and they saw all these supplemental things that I sent, and then they decided just to send them on back. I was like, I think that this is their way of saying, we don't need your paperwork. You're crowding things up. Take this back. But I opened up the pack, and I was surprised to see that the reason it was so thick was because it was a course book, and there was a letter accompanying it that said, hey man, like, we see what you're doing. This is an early notification for you to let you know that we're going to hold a spot for you in our class of 2007, as long as you just keep on doing what it is that you're doing. Here, take a look at some courses, see what might suit your fancy.
Wow.
And I was like, oh shoot. Okay. And I was like, I don't remember my college counselor telling me about these like early letters. What is this? And so I remember like running back to school and showing it to my college counselor, and she was like, what? I feel like they like put it up on the wall. It was a whole thing. And so at that point, Yale became my bar. Like it became like, okay, so this wasn't necessarily the school. Like, I thought I wanted to go to Princeton the most because it looked beautiful in the movie, but like Yale became that space where I was like, well, look, even if nothing else comes through, good thing is we got Yale, right? So like, let's roll with Yale.
I mean,
and so from there, I asked my dad if he could take me on, and the reason that I'm going into like this story is just because I think that this just projects everything. You asked me like how I became who I am, or how I am becoming who I am.
Yes.
Like, and so like this has elements of family, and family is very important to me. So what happened was my dad and I, like we went on a road trip. We decided to go on a college road trip, and I was like, Dad, I want to go to, because I've already been to the Virginia schools. Once I ended up getting into Yale, Harvard, and Princeton, I was like, Dad, can we just do a little trip just so that we can collect some sweatshirts from these three places? I'm pretty sure that it's Princeton that I want to go to, but like, let's at least just go. Let's have some fun. So we hopped in the car and we drove up, and geography, first stop from Virginia was Princeton. So we stopped in New Jersey, walked around the campus, and I was like, oh, this is just as beautiful as it looked like in the thing. And I remember like walking on the tour, and the tour guy was telling us about this and that. And he asked like, oh, you have any questions? And I was like, no, I have no questions, because like, I know this is where I want to go, right? So then we leave Princeton and we go to Yale. And the plan was I'm going to stay overnight at Yale. So we get there, and I'm like, oh wow, this is a different kind of setting. Like, this feels actually a little bit more urban, and I like the proximity to New York as well. And then staying overnight, I got to go to frat parties. I got to like really see what campus life was like. I looked around the campus and I saw billboards, and on these cork billboards were just tons of flyers. And when I went on the tour there, I was like, well, what are all these flyers on the billboard, yo? And the tour guide told me, oh, well, these flyers are mainly from student-run organizations. I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, like you can apply. Basically, we have student organizations for just about everything. But if there is an organization that you don't see that you would like to create, you can apply for funding from the university. The university will give you money, and then you go ahead and you start your own thing. And I was like, oh, hold on, that's different. That's really different. I like the idea of being able to get financing in order to basically learn and to experiment in a place where the stakes are so little. Mm-hmm. So I remember having a conflict. Like the next morning, I was like, well, I I wasn't supposed to like this place as much as I liked it, but then this billboard stuff like really sold me. So I was like, Dad, I know we're supposed to go to Harvard tomorrow, but like, can we just go? Like, can we spend this day actually going back to Princeton? Because now I've got something to actually compare it to. And I remember going back to Princeton, and this time when the tour guide asked me if I had questions, bro, I had so many questions.
Got all the questions.
me. It's like, do you have student organizations that can get funding from this? Do you have this? Do you have da? And I just remember then when it came time for me to go back home and to make the decision of where we were going to go, I had to weigh out, and you mentioned values. I had to weigh out what was really valuable for me at that moment. There was no wrong decision in the mix.
No, like, there's not a wrong decision between Yale, Harvard, and Princeton.
Not a wrong one.
But I don't know, listeners, I don't know if you're picking up on this. You heard what he said. He decided he said, later for Harvard. Okay. That's you said, nah, I don't want to go look at Harvard. It's okay. Man. That's
no shade.
That's shade. That was a position to be in. So all the Harvard students, if you're listening, it's okay. You were still loved.
So much love for y'all.
You were still loved.
So the values ended up really for me at that point being, I like this student run organization kind of thing. And so that's why I went to Yale. And when I got there, I was like, I got to take advantage of the reason why I came. And so I ended up doing a show on our radio station there. I ended up starting up a television show on our TV station. And that TV show really helped to lay some additional grounding for getting me some space in Hollywood, because that show at the time, I loved MTV Cribs. I loved the idea of going into celebrities' homes and like seeing the lavish, the ostentatious stuff that they had.
Redman's was still the best by far.
Still, oh my gosh.
It was still the best. When he opened his freezer, I was like, wow, yes, Red. Thank you, Redman. Thank you.
So wonderful.
So wonderful.
And so I remember going into dorm rooms during parties, and I was looking at dorm rooms, and I was like, oh my God.
I was wondering where this was going. I was like, what did he do? You did cribs in dorm.
I did. That's exactly what I did, man. Because
awesome.
think about this. Think about
I'm going to scrub the internet. I got to find those things.
No, when you went to college, did you have roommates that were from different places than you were, or did you already know all your roommates before you started?
No, I chose. We were all the hometown heroes. We were all if we weren't in sports dorm, which I wasn't, I had a similar sports experience as you. Played for all the teams. So that's all I did. I just played.
You were there.
I was there. I played. I was like, how many people you need? You need 5? Okay, I'll be the 5th one. Oh, you don't need 5 anymore? Okay, I'll sit over here. If anybody gets hurt, I'll be right here. Quick story about that, because I know my good friend Omar likes listening to this. Omar broke his arm in the 8th grade. He was our quarterback, great quarterback, and broke his arm. It was the most terrifying thing I'd ever seen, because he picked up his arm and it was a compound fracture, so it just fell.
No.
Yeah, it was so gross. And the coach put me in as quarterback. It was the most terrifying thing that ever happened in my life. It was, oh my gosh. I got sacked on the first down. I did manage to get like one pass off and a handoff. And I think I did I did a couple of, what do you call it? I was in this quarterback twice on 2 different possessions.
Downs?
That's what I said, possessions. No, I did the whole 4 down. You did all 4 down. Okay, cool. No. I did 3 downs and then we punted. That was the other problem. He was the punter. So then the coach says, can you punt? No, I can't do that. And then I went in for the next
special
possession.
Teams too.
Yeah, I went in for the next possession, and then that was it. I was like, put me back on the wing. I will play wide receiver because no one's going to throw it to me. Anyways, sorry, I went off on a tangent there because you reminded me. You reminded me of that. So with the
your dorms,
with the dorms, we had a lot of us were all from the hometown on that hallway. But I did choose a roommate who was someone that I did not know. And it worked out until the end. It didn't work out in the end. He didn't have the same circle as friends as I did.
Okay.
And back then, I don't think I've shared this with you, but the end of my high school career, I started working for Def Jam Music.
What?
And
no, I didn't know this.
So I took that job with me to college. So then I became a college marketing liaison for all the black colleges in North Carolina.
What?
and Virginia. So that's what I was having a lot of fun doing that. So I always had a lot of Def Jam paraphernalia in my dorm room. Everything, because I was delivering wax to DJs. I would get, like when Method Man's album came out, I had boxes of the CDs. So I promoted Redman, Method Man, Foxy Brown, Jay-Z, DMX.
Yo.
So I would have all this advanced stuff. Well, one day my roommate and some of his shady characters decided they would walk out with some things that didn't belong to them. And I'm like, okay, two people have keys in this room.
Gosh.
This isn't very hard. So in order to not incriminate myself, I won't say what we did on the last day of school that year.
Can you tell me off air?
I
Because
can.
now I need to know.
I can. We did some. No one got hurt, but it was. I'm not proud of that moment. I'm not proud of it anymore. But anyways,
You ended up putting the street team.
we put that is exactly what that you got it. We put the street in team. No one got hurt, but it was pretty dirty. It was bad. So to answer your question, I had a roommate that I didn't know. So back to your roommates at Yale.
Well, so it's funny that you bring that up then, because that's exactly not what ended up happening to y'all in the end, but the initial part where you two were working together. Well, that was also like the crux of like what this show could be, because I was enamored by how college is this space where a lot of people, we're coming from other places, we're all thrown in together. It's like the reality show, The Real World sometimes, but not only are our personalities coming together, but like also the way that we decorate our common spaces ends up being something that's also a reflection of the diversity of these things meeting. So I would go into these dorm rooms and I'm like, okay, well, this person's from the New England area. This person is from South Africa. This person is from California. Look at what they've decided to hang on up. Look at the posters that are in their living room. How did they choose this couch? Like, how do you negotiate that kind of thing? So ended up calling the show Sweet Suites, because we called our living areas suites. And so I was like, I just want to go on in, and through looking at the decor in this home, I want to learn about the personalities of the people who live here. And so I would do that. We would just go dorm to dorm and do that. And there was even a point where we had a spinoff, a special episode called Sweet Suites, the Bittersweet Edition, where we went to the dirtiest dorms on campus and actually celebrated that. And then like one of like our dean ended up getting in on it. So it was a really cool thing, And so through that gave me a chance to really learn about TV production. It gave me a chance to be involved in every single element of it, because I needed to make sure that it got done. I wasn't getting paid for it, of course, but this was just like something that I wanted to do. So I was like, I want to host this thing. So in order for me to host it, I have to make sure that it's filmed. So I need to like understand, how does the camera work? I need to make sure that it's edited. So then I would do the editing. How do you pull music? I would do so. And then so through that, I started finding other friends that could like jump on in and help on out. And so we built this little thing. So then when it came time for me to look for an internship, this is probably like my sophomore year, looking for an internship, I applied to the Television Academy Foundation, which is a foundation that's made by the people who make the Emmys, made by the Television Academy. And so I applied for an internship through them for a part of their reality television programming. And I submitted a video, an episode of me doing Sweet Suites. And I believe that is really one of the things that helped me to get my first internship in LA. And it just was sparked by that curiosity and that desire to dig on in and to get stories from other people. And then also hopefully to make some people smile. And so to this day, Hanse, whether it is backstage, it's funny because through that also I ended up starting to work for the Emmys. So like they hire me for different things. So whether I'm like interviewing Oprah or Dolly Parton for the Emmys, or I'm interviewing Kermit the Frog for our news station that I used to work at.
I have to show my daughter that. LA. She's gonna be so excited. I'm like, hey, yeah, one of my clients knows Kermit. She's gonna flip. Okay.
Oh my gosh, we gotta talk about that. Oh. Yeah. So it's like, or if it's like today, a lot of the work that I do from home, and I love, like, this will be fun to talk about, but like is sort of in the home shopping space. So I work a lot with Amazon. And so whether I'm talking about this Instant Pot, or whether I am talking to Viola Davis about Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, like all of it still is just driven by curiosity about people's stories and wanting to find a way to like, let's bring out some brightness in it. Let's boost the brightness of somebody's day.
Man. Well, that's why you're such an incredible guest for our show, because I'm just role reversing here. And I have curiosity about people's origins of money. And, we talk about some other stuff, but that's really why I'm doing this show, is because I want people, the listeners, to really start to internalize and think about their money scripts, i.e. the name of the podcast, is what is this? What is this script that you have written for yourself? Because you're the producer, director, and the main actor. There's other actors in the show, but you are the producer, director, and main actor and writer of this script that is the movie of your money life. And, thoughts happen so quickly in our mind. There's a study that says you have over 10,000 thoughts a day, and don't even think about how many of them are negative for the average person. But those thoughts happen every time you're faced with a financial decision. And you'll go through those lists of thoughts so fast, but all you're doing is playing the script and the movie of how you handle money in those situations. And until you pause, think about, okay, why am I thinking about things like this? Why do I have this scarcity mentality? Or why do I find myself in these financial situations all the time? It's all because of how you've programmed yourself to think about money. And so what I want to do is get people to just think about, where did that come from? Why am I carrying that with me? And throw the script out, rewrite the script, or, start ad-libbing. Like, no, we're not going to follow that script anymore. We're going to do things a little bit differently this time. So,
I think that money script, and I know that you are a thoughtful person, but I don't, like, when you came up with the name of it, like, I don't even know if you fully realized the depth and the complexity of the metaphor that you were creating when you did that. Because just as you explained it to me right there, I think about like a script in life. And I think also about a literal script. Like when I'm writing literal scripts, sometimes the most intimidating part is when I open up that Word file and I have to start with the blank page. And it's like, you're right, we get these more than 10,000 thoughts going on in the day. Which of these thoughts am I going to start with? Like, what's the first word? Who's going to be the first person to speak? Where is this going to take place? How? And so when you have all of that, it can be so daunting and so intimidating. But what you are doing with this podcast, what you are doing with Money Script, is since you are interviewing different people each week, since you're speaking about different things each week, you are giving people options. You are sharing templates, and you are sharing, okay, if you're a chef and you want to figure out how to pivot and to take your military background and go ahead and create something new in here, even if you don't have professional training as a chef, here's how one person did it. Here's a thought for you. Oh, you're tired of living where you're living? You want to go to Costa Rica? You just want to pack things on up? Oh, here's somebody who did that. Here's an example of that. So you are showing people, and then it becomes a lot less intimidating because we've got some templates. We've got some different ways, some different ideas for how can that be applied to our individual lives. Then it doesn't feel like you have to start from scratch.
And to my engineer, Seth, that was the commercial for the Money Script podcast. So you're just going to cut that part right there. We're going to send a release letter to Albert, and we're going to start playing that all over the place. Man, that was good. That wasn't even written yet. Oh yeah, okay. That was good. No, I appreciate
I'm just telling you what I'm hearing, man.
I appreciate you, and shout out to Chef Raw and Chrissy Crash. Those were the two that those couple episodes back. Make sure you check those out. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I want to get those templates from people, and so that it can be less intimidating to sit down with a blank page and say, okay, I'm ready to rewrite my script. I'm ready to change my trajectory in life. I'm ready to think about my money, my relationships, all of that differently. But if all you have to pull from is your own experiences, you're going to keep repeating the same script over and over again. But if you can pull from other people's experiences, I was just talking with a client yesterday. We were talking about taxes, and she's at a company where there's a lot of talk about her company going public. So she could become an overnight 100,000-aire or millionaire. I mean, it could happen. Wow. And she was curious about taxes. And I said, I could tell you a story about taxes and about the difference between short-term and long-term taxes. And I told her a story about how I created over a $100,000 tax bill for myself. Well, now, mind you, I was a financial planner. I was in the business, in the industry. I should have known better. But because of my previous scripts, because of the situation I was in, I was clouded and didn't think and thought that I actually had control over the future. Thought that I knew what was going to happen in the future. And turns out I didn't. I didn't know that a year later that the market was going to collapse. And I put myself in a situation where I was like, oh, I'll just take care of those taxes next year. I always get bonuses. I always get more stock options. There were no bonuses and no stock options on next year. And boom, I had a 6-figure bill.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
No.
And she said to me, she said, okay, well, I'm glad I met you because I don't want to make that mistake. I was like, yeah, you don't have to. I did it already for you. Okay. So I'm going to tell you right now, you don't know what's going to happen. The only stock price you know is the price that there is today. The only tax rate you know is the tax rate today. You don't know anything's going to happen in the future. But we can try to make a plan, but we've got to do something now to put ourselves in a better position in the future. She was so grateful. So shout out to her. I'm sure she's listening. I'm going to listen to all your podcasts. Good. So this one is for you. So I'm curious. Man, we could talk for hours. I'm gonna have to bring you back for another episode to rehash some of these things. I'm also going to find some of those sweet episodes. To all my college students out there, that is your new mission in life. You're to find the sweet episodes.
That would be so raw by today's terms, man. Like, it looks so dusty now.
Please find those. I'm sure. Yeah, there's probably some that did not age well at all. That's going to be great. It'd be great. Actually, it might be careful. You might end up with some cancel culture on you or something. You'd be getting some real trouble. So tell me. Let's go back to the childhood. You said your father was a pastor. Your mother, you said social worker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So my mom works in the Department of Social Services in Fairfax County, and so she always was in communication, working with people who are coming and in need of assistance. And so through that, like she loves to serve. I feel like one of her like big spiritual gifts and also one of her love languages is gift giving. And so she is that person in our family that like knows the perfect gift for everyone. That she's the one who reminds me whenever it's anybody's birthday, because like that is a blind spot for me. The birthdays, man, I forget them even if they're in the calendar. But like she is so on top of that. And my dad comes from South Carolina, and he is someone who it's so funny. Like he loves hunting, he loves fishing, he loves all these things that like require a great deal of patience. And so I remember when he would be dropping me off at school sometimes in the morning, he'd be wanting to listen to country music. So he'd be playing the country music on the radio. I'd be like, Dad, what is this? No. And so like I would flip it over to WKYS, which was 93.9 back in the day. It was hip hop and R&B. And I was wanting to listen to the P. Diddy and Total and Biggie and like, and all of that kind of stuff. And he was just like, oh, son.
What is this noise?
What is this noise? And the funny thing is like, I am so glad that I do have that R&B and hip hop background, because like I love me some good R&B and hip hop, especially from that era. And like that has still helped to shape me to be who I am. But at the same time, I ended up growing into country, especially during the trips when I would be driving from Virginia to Connecticut for college. There would be times on the road where the R&B and hip hop stations, I'd run out of R&B and hip hop stations. Like the signal would die. But you know what there was always a signal for? A country station. There was always.
That is true.
Always a country station. And you know this in Texas, there's always going to be a country station. And so I ended up having to listen to the country. And then I ended up appreciating it because I was like, hold on, there are some real stories that are being told here. There is some narrative that is happening in here. And I am a story-driven person. I love stories. I love listening to stories. I enjoy telling them. My dad is a fantastic storyteller. And back at that age, though, I just wasn't here for it. Like I just was not. My ears weren't open to listen to that. But now, retroactively, I'm like, oh my gosh, like there was a lot that was being offered to me at that time that I was like, no, thank you. But now I really do appreciate that more. And it's helped me to be a more eclectic listener. But then also it gives me a different space to be able to approach certain conversations with. And it has broadened my perspective in terms of just, trying to understand and meet people where they are. In terms of their life and how we communicate through music. So dad, mom, like they are fantastic. That's just like a little bit of my childhood.
I'm curious with that, inside of that, let's get to your money script. What would you say is your first memory of money?
I believe that, especially because of growing up in the church and then also going to Christian schools growing up, one of my first things that got embedded in me was tithe 10%. Like that's the first memory that I have in terms of like, I remember my first job, of course, was working in middle school. But even before getting that first job, when I was getting allowances, I was always told, okay, we're going to give you $10 this week. You need to take one of these dollars and put one of those dollars in the church basket, like in the tithe and offerings basket. And I remember always being told that you need to give with a grateful heart, but you also need to give joyfully. So like, there's no point in you giving if you're going to give upset. Like, man, I guess I got to give this 10%. I don't really want to do it, but here. And I was like, how do people get, but like, I understand the theory of give with a grateful heart, but like, if you're giving of something and you're not getting anything directly in return, that's just like me going to the grocery store, right? And like being like, here, Ralph's like, here's $5 and keep the change. Keep the change. No, I worked for that change. So I remember as a kid not fully getting it, but just doing it because I was told to do it. But then as time went on and it became more of a habit, I started to also kind of also see not only the benefit that there are benefits of like give and it will come back to you, like it's gonna come back. But then also I started to really just enjoy it. I started to enjoy, and you and I, we recently talked about this. Like I started to enjoy it a little bit more once I loosened up the reins in my brain in terms of like, what does a 10% giving look like and where does it have to go? When I started allowing myself to be like, okay, well, this 10% can go to the church, or this 10% can go to other nonprofits, to other spaces that are supporting efforts that I really believe in. Okay, cool, this will work. Then what I ended up being able to start doing is just like and there have been times where I failed. I have not always followed through on these 10%, so I try to do better now. But like I now get a chance to keep track of these 10% throughout the year so that it's not like every week I need to give this 10%. No, instead now I track it. And then by the time I get to the end of the year, I feel like I kind of get to go on like a nonprofit spending spree. And like, okay, I've got this bucket of money that's allocated to give to someone, to some things. What are the different projects that my friends have launched this past year that I want to be able to support that maybe I didn't earlier in the year? What are some different charities? What are some new organizations? Where do my values align now? What are the things that I've learned this year that I didn't? Man, at the end of 2020, there were definitely organizations that I was like, oh, I didn't even know this organization existed in 2019. 2020, this organization spoke very loudly. Okay, I definitely want to be a part of this. And then it gave me a chance to do that. So those lessons about tithing, even though as I've matured, I've now diversified what that 10% looks like to me and where that 10% can go. But that is like really at the core of a strong part of my financial decisions these days.
You know, it's something that I am immensely impressed by is your ability to accompany shopping spree and the dopamine hit that your brain gets from spending money, but you've been able to associate that with giving. And I think that is huge because I come across a lot of people who want to give, but still they give with an empty cup, so to speak. Like they give and they're like, oh, now my cup is empty. And I've said to some of them, I was like, just give away the whole cup. And then you don't have to worry about what's empty. Just give the cup too, you know? And so I love that you have found a way to train your brain on the script of saying, okay, no, this giving is a part of what I do. I enjoy it. I look forward to it. I like looking for new ways to give. And you are giving with an open heart. You absolutely are. I mean, you are someone that the receipt of giving is the joy in giving itself. Yeah. That's all you're looking for is that excitement. Like, oh yes, I gave some money away, and I think that is incredible. And for listeners out there that are looking for ways, because I know that there's some. I've talked to some folks that have become, what's the right word I want to use here, a bit jaded with their church organization. Okay, actually, right. Alicia is one of them. And curious, okay, how do we now fill this void that has been created because your church or your place of worship has change the way it does business, and it doesn't quite fit in with your values, or you're not being spiritually fulfilled. But that money's still sitting in your checking account.
That's right.
Okay. There's
still there.
lots of organizations out there that can help you get that spiritual fill. You're just going to have to take some time and think about where you want to give, how you want to give. And also, as you said, know that you're giving. How did you say? Would you say with a full heart? How did you?
With a grateful heart.
With a grateful
giving
heart.
With joy. Yeah.
Giving with a grateful heart and with joy, because there are organizations. As a matter of fact, I'll take this time. The Royalty Project out of New York, which I have humbly been accepted as a new director on their board. We are also accepting donations, and we'll have a whole show. I'll have the leader on, and we will talk about the Royalty Project and the things we're doing with our youth, and helping them to be proud of their Black skin and fit into this beautiful society that we have. But more on that later. That was a shameless plug.
Ooh. Oh man, I need to hear more about that afterwards too. This is good.
Yes. Oh yeah. This is real good. Real good. So all right, we can keep going and going and going. So thank you to all the listeners sticking with us. I know we just got to your favorite part of the show is what is his money script, and he shared that with us. I'm curious, Albert. I want to know, as you look into the future, what's next for you? Where are you going?
Yeah. Dang, I'm not super great at the prediction part, because I'm so much a person of like what's happening today. What do I need to do in order to stay above water, and then do a little bit more for tomorrow. But I will tell you that I believe that over this past year, because of so much of the restrictions and the modifications that have been put on us, like within the entertainment industry, within broadcast and with media, there have been some major shifts. One of them being that people have had to get ready to do remote broadcasting and to do it efficiently, so much faster than I think where we were headed prior to lockdown. And so because of that, I've had to pivot. I've ended up making a home studio here. And because of that, ended up actually purchasing my first home because of the amount of work that came from having this home studio. So what I'm thinking about for the future is I want to continue to build up my skills, build up my space in order to make it so that I can continue to build up more clients, have more clientele, all from home. Want to get back out in the field too. Love working in the field. But if we're going to be working more from home, like, let's make the dopest home setup that we can. Like, let's have that. And from that continuous building, I ended up starting up a talk show. So I want that talk show to grow. That's a late night talk show on Amazon. I want that to grow. I've been doing more and more press junkets with IMDb. I want that relationship to continue to flourish and grow. So, and with Amazon, the sky's the limit. Like, I just want to keep on doing more. So, it's like, I'm doing what it is that I want to do. And I'm super grateful for that. I just want to do more, and I want to do more of that. And I want to continue to learn. And beyond that, I want to continue to bring people in, to feed people in my circle, to continue to be a part of other people's circles as well. Because what I have learned is that I can't do it all. I cannot do it all myself. And just because I know how to do some things decently, I've got friends that are so much better than me at doing these things. And I enjoy hiring those friends to then do those things. So I want to make more. I want to feed more. I want to continue this loop, and then just continue to create a network of folks that's going to grow together. And I want you to be part of that network. I mean, like it or not, you kind of already are now. And so that's what I want.
You're stuck with me. I, out of curiosity, as someone that interviews a lot of people, and you've already got Oprah on your list, but I'm just curious. Since we have all of these new listeners now, who is let's speak it into existence. Who is on your interview list that you haven't had the opportunity to interview yet?
Will Smith. Like, we got to get Will.
Got to get Will.
Have to.
All right.
Got to get Will Smith.
And I might be able to make a phone call. I don't know how busy he is, but I might,
Please. Look it up.
I'll see. I'll send a message. I'll see if that relationship is still.
Right. You know Jaden, so go ahead, see if we can get Jaden's dad on there. Like Will, and then in a completely different zone, kind of, but just because I know that this conversation would be riveting, Kanye. I gotta talk to Kanye. he is full of so much richness and complexity that like when he does choose to share, I just sit and I listen, because there's just a lot there to unpack, so much skill. And sometimes, since we're just learning about these people so often in headlines, you're not getting the full story.
No,
so
not at all. Not at all.
But I think that he'll be a fascinating person just to kick it with as well. So Will and Kanye.
Got it. So since you're in the LA area, there is a club called Zen. It's off of, by Universal Studios.
I've been to Zen.
Okay. So Zen, I believe it still is. It's owned by Dwayne Martin.
Yes.
Dwayne Martin and Will are friends.
Yes. Here we go.
I have a client who's friends with Dwayne Martin. When I first moved to LA, he said, let me hook you up with Dwayne Martin. Dwayne said, hey, come to my club. One night I'm in the club hanging out with Dwayne Martin and a few other random friends, and in walks Will. And so for the rest of the night, it was listening to Will tell stories as we're taking way too many shots of tequila.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. You're getting close. You're getting close.
Getting closer.
Now Kanye,
circle is tightening.
Yes, my experience with Kanye was more random. This was in my American Express days. I did some work for the American Express Platinum and Black Card.
Oh, sweet.
And so they sent me to the Grammy parties at what's the name of that? I can't even. They're gone. They used to be on Sunset Boulevard, House of Blues. So they send me to the House of Blues, and I've got I'm catering to the Black Card and Platinum folks that got to go to the show. And I decided to get in the elevator to go to the green room, and a hand gets stuck into the elevator door, and it's this huge bodyguard, and he walks in, he says, excuse me. And he walks in comes Kanye.
And gosh.
And so for 8 seconds, I'm in the elevator with Kanye. Had nothing to say other than the only thing I could think to say is, I was born on June 8th too. And he said, word, that's what's up. Happy birthday. And he walked out and did his show, and I went into the green room. And it was funny when I came out, the people I was with, they were like, was that Kanye? I was like, yeah, that's Kanye. Apparently he's performing tonight. So that's as close as I got to Kanye. So I don't know. I'll prod the Will Smith one. Yeah, I'll prod the Will Smith one, but I don't know about the Kanye one. I don't think I could recreate that.
I love that you answered the age-old question that all of us have asked ourselves, which is 8 seconds in an elevator with Kanye. What do you say?
Yeah. It's like, hey, I'm born on June 8th too. Word. Happy birthday. That was my moment. I guess I could have said, let me spit some bars, or I got a beat you could hear. Right. But I didn't have those things. I had nothing.
That guy.
I had nothing, but we share a birthday, man. So.
That's such an authentic and genuine way. Yeah, no, appreciate that story.
Indeed. All right, brother. Well, please tell the folks where they can find your show. Where can they tune in? Where can they find the sweet sweets? I know you're not going to give that out. But tell the listener, for those that want to catch up with Albert Lawrence, where can we find you?
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram at Albert Talks, but you can also head over to my website, albertlawrence.com. Keep a lot of clips and things up there. For the late night talk show that I've started on Amazon, you can head to amazon.com/shop/Albert Talks, and you'll be able to pick that on up there. You'll be able to see that there. And then on Saturday mornings, I'm on a series that's on CBS, and it's called Innovation Nation. It's all about science and technology. So I get a chance to be a part of a team that travels around and meets inventors. And so you can go ahead and tune on into CBS and catch that on Saturday mornings as well.
But by the way, I have to mention Innovation Nation, great show. One of my favorites. It's also great for kids. If you got kids that are into the weird, quirky stuff that they talk to you about when you know nothing about it, sit them down in front of that, and you can, if you watch it before them, you can sound really smart like I did. Albert, my man, thank you so much for spending some time on the Money Script podcast. Everybody, we will see you guys next week. Stay safe. If you're getting a shot, please get a shot. If you're just going to keep wearing a mask, keep wearing a mask. Let's come on, you guys. I want to be able to have a party. My birthday's coming up June 8th, and I want to invite you all.
June 8th, y'all.
June 8th. Me and Kanye. Somebody tell him. I'll be waiting on him.
Thanks for joining us on the Money Script podcast. Be sure to check out our other episodes, subscribe, follow, and give us 5 stars. Continue to send your financial questions on Twitter or Instagram at the Money Script. Go to moneyscriptwealth.com and schedule your complimentary consultation to discuss your specific goals and concerns. Financial advisory and investment management services are offered by MoneyScript Wealth Management PLLC, a registered investment advisory firm registered in the state of Texas and California and other states where exempt. The MoneyScript LLC and the MoneyScript Wealth Management PLLC and guests of the episode may have interest in the investments mentioned today. The opinions and views are expressed here are for informational purposes only. This material is educational in nature and should not be deemed as a solicitation for any specific product or service. All investments involve risk and a significant loss of principal. The MoneyScript nor MoneyScript Wealth Management offer tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax advisor or attorney for specific advice about your situation. Until next time.